Well, I came to Dunbar 8 years ago. Prior to that, I'd lived in East Yorkshire near Hull for 30 years. Worked professionally as a statistician for a whole range of public sector bodies. A lot of that time I was not full-time. I was caring for growing children as well, and carrying out various voluntary roles, one of which was training to and becoming a lay reader in my local Church of England church. Well, I was very clear I didn't want to be the leader of a church. Both my character and lack of a sense of calling meant that didn't appeal at all. I think my main call to be a reader was my inability to sit and listen to a sermon and not think what I'd have said and how I'd have put it and what example I'd have used and how I'd have tried to apply that passage. And that just carried on and really led in the end to me feeling this was something I should try and do myself. So that really constituted the call, with the sort of support and agreement of Christian leaders around me. Yes, I carried on really a very similar ministry to the one I'd exercised in Yorkshire, which was within my home church and leading and preaching occasionally at services, and wanted to make that official and proper within the rules of the church. So applied to sort of transfer my readership, which the Church of Scotland very sensibly said, there's a few things you should do first, like a placement in a different church to the one I was in, and a bit of studying, particularly about Scottish church history, which I was very glad to undertake. And in due course, I've become accredited as a reader for the Church of Scotland, and carried on very much that same ministry I've described of mostly leading and preaching once every few weeks within my local church, and occasionally taking services elsewhere in the area when I'm invited to. Yes, I was part of a team. I think different ministers tried harder to make a team of the group of both salaried and voluntary workers and leaders within the church. I think it doesn't involve a huge amount of teamwork, to be honest. It's generally an individual role that I undertake, sort of as an individual. I think teamwork often has come in other areas of church life where one's working with a group of people to get something done. I think the way I describe it, Peter, is that the role of reader is one of several roles that I feel called to. And the other roles I undertake in the community don't, in a sense, fall within the role of reader. There are other things I do. And the fact that, however other people conceive of it, I'm also someone who preaches occasionally in church, makes for interesting conversations with people who I'm involved with in other areas of life. I'm retired now, so I've got the time and energy still to contribute to the community in various ways. I think encouragement comes from various different areas. Locally and immediately, I'm encouraged by the enthusiasm and the love within my local fellowship. That's the absolute engine of Christian life. And that does encourage me. We feel we're beginning to be a growing church, and certainly within the last few months we've seen more more families being part of the church regularly, and adults coming to faith in a very definite sort of way. So that in itself is encouraging, as well as just the life of the fellowship and the friendship that one finds there. I'm not sure encouraged is the word, but looking at the wider world, things seem to be going from bad to worse in all sorts of ways, sort of nationally and internationally. I don't actually find that discouraging. I know it troubles a lot of people deeply, but I observe it, and actually I think it's what Christ told us to expect. The world isn't going to perfect itself, and those who put their hope in humanity managing to do that unaided have got a false hope. So that, yeah, in a strange sort of way, I'm not sure encouraged, but I'm certainly not discouraged by those trends. Fundamentally, all my hope is in Christ and in the Father. It's the only sure ground of hope. I think in becoming a Christian, that was very much a big part of it was stepping away from trying to be the solution to whatever personal or wider issues I was struggling with, seeing that I wasn't fit to, well, even address them, let alone solve them. So yes, I mean, it may sound pious, but my hope is in God. And that just gives me a great basis for being engaged both in the church and with people and in the wider world. And yeah, the hope of resurrection, especially as one gets older and you're more aware that your health won't last forever. Yeah, the hope in a God who's conquered death is absolutely vital to me.